Are you living a keto lifestyle, or you want to live a keto lifestyle, but you're not quite sure? You've heard maybe some myths about it, that it can be unhealthy long term, that it's just something that maybe you could do for a little while, but then you have to get off of it. Or maybe you've just wanted to start, but you didn't know where to start. Well, today I am interviewing a friend of mine, Shelly Davis, and she has been living a keto lifestyle for 4 years. And my family just started the keto lifestyle just the beginning of 2021. So we are in our first month, and we're having actually quite a bit of fun because we're learning different food options and learning how to cook them. I'm having my son in the kitchen, and he's helped me with a few things. He's not much of wanting to be in the kitchen, but I'm trying to show him different options so that when mom's not always around, then he can still make something. So today I have Shelly, and we're going to talk about all these myth-busting things about keto, because I've been following Shelly. Well, Shelly is a friend of mine, but I've also been following her posts that she's been making. And I've just fallen in love with how she shares and how she educates people on being keto, and that it can be a long-term sustainable diet plan. And I don't even like the word diet, but I know a lot of people misuse that word. And diet really just means what you're eating, right? What you're following to eat. So even if you aren't on a diet, you're still having a diet plan because you're still eating. So, but today we're going to talk about keto. So, welcome, Shelly. Thank you so much for, accepting this invitation to talk about keto. I'd love for you to share with everybody who you are and how long ago exactly did you decide to live a keto lifestyle?
Well, thank you, Christine, for having me on and asking me, because, keto is one of my favorite subjects. And when you start, it kind of becomes your life. So, I started my keto journey 4 years ago, actually. And I think, like many of us, we have yo-yo dieted for several years. Like, I know most of my adult life, I spent yo-yo dieting, and got to a point where I found myself with the weight back on, and my clothes weren't fitting. I was going to have to go buy new sizes because I had gotten rid of the other clothes when I lost weight previously. And I was just in my closet, basically crying, like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get this under control? And at that time, keto was not near as popular as it is right now. I mean, people did not know what keto was when you said, well, I'm going keto. And they're like, what is that? And now it's like common, knowledge. Oh, we have keto in restaurants now, keto food, menus and stuff. So I always say, well, I was keto before keto was cool. And I got right in there before. And I started researching it. And I thought, at the time, doing the conventional keto, eating the bacon, I could still have pizza, just made different. All these baked goods I liked, I could have as long as I made them in a different way. And I thought, this might work. I won't feel like I'm deprived, and maybe I can do this, because really I had exhausted every option. And so I started out, and I was very gung-ho. I was very strict. I, probably was a little like keto police with people, and, and just wanted to give it the best shot. So, and I think when you start out on this plan, in the beginning, you do have to be very strict, because you're changing your body and you're going from glucose burn to fat burn, and you've got to really retrain your brain, retrain your body to what to do. So, I saw great success. My carb cravings dropped dramatically. I felt better. When you start losing the weight, you feel more confident and more in control. I could walk in the grocery store and walk right by all those little cupcakes that I used to grab and put in my cart, and cookies and everything. I could just walk right by them and not have that urge to put them in my shopping cart. And that's when I knew this was going to be a lifestyle and a change that I could do and I could manage for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And now where I'm at briefly, we'll get more into, but a year ago, keto wasn't working for me. And throw in 2020 and all the craziness, and then throw in a hormone imbalance. And that was just disaster right there. So I got very concerned. What now? If keto is not going to work for me, this is bad. What am I going to do? And I've changed my approach to keto. And I know we'll get into that as we go through this conversation. So
I'm so glad you brought that up, Shelly, because I think that's where people get stuck and then think this isn't for me. So I've seen you make this phrase quite a bit on your Facebook posting. And then of course, we're in a group together that has to do with keto. And you mentioned dirty keto. Can you explain to us what dirty keto is?
Yeah. This is just my own definition, but from what I see with dirty keto is it just focuses on, if it hits my macros, I'm going to eat it. And it is more of processed foods. It's just looking at maybe a front label. Oh, it says keto, it must be okay, and throw it in your cart, and you're not turning it around and looking at the ingredients. You're maybe just looking at the nutrition label and thinking, okay, that fits my macros, I'm buying it. Yeah. And it really is just counterproductive, I guess you want to say, because the whole purpose of keto should be a nutritional keto, where you're taking in good whole foods. And as your body releases the fat, then it's also releasing toxins, because that's where they're stored. And then that will clean out your body of toxins. Where dirty keto, you're going to lose weight, because when you are restricting your carbs, because you are so focused on this meets my macros and I'm hitting the low carb, but you're also feeding in toxins as you're releasing toxins. So it's just like a constant cycle of toxicity through your body, and you can become very acidic, and your weight will stall, your health will decline. So you're really defeating the whole purpose of going into a healthy lifestyle of keto when you're doing it in a dirty, we'll say dirty or lazy way.
The reason I asked to interview you, Shelley, among, many other people that I know doing keto, is because I know how passionate you have been in educating yourself. What has helped you learn how to make it more of the nutritional keto than, instead of, like you mentioned, just kind of, going by, this is keto, it fits my macros, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah. And sometimes I do that. So none of us are 100% clean keto all the time, because we'd like a good fast food burger. I'm no different than that. And sometimes it's unavoidable where you're at. But what I did is I made sure to follow a plan, and I'm in a great company that offers a great plan, and it's a clean keto. And it also recognizes the importance of supplementing your diet, because you are going to miss out on some foods that have key nutrients that we need. So finding someone to follow who recommends supplementation along with eating real whole foods. It's easy to get into a keto group and just start doing what that moderator puts out, and you're not really educating yourself as to, okay, I'm going to go grab these processed beef sticks, but what is in that? I mean, the beef sticks are a huge thing, and it's really hard to find a good, clean processed beef stick or beef jerky even. So just looking for people who focus on functional medicine methods, like naturopathic ways, along with good, wholesome, nutritious, nutrient dense food. And it can be hard to find in the keto community because there's so many things. There's carnivore, there's, you got your dirty, lazy influencers on Instagram, and they're making all these wonderful looking things. So it can be, but it's getting easier, maybe just because I'm searching them out. But I think since keto has become popular, it's given more opportunity to those who are doing it in a clean way, a platform to get that message out and say, keto is healthy, but you have to do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned about ingredients. What would be an example that people wouldn't even think of when it comes to purchasing something and the ingredients are really something they should be paying more attention to than what the actual item is?
Okay. And I have a list. No, so, I told you, I'm a little bit of a nerd because I do like to do research, but just in my findings and going out to the grocery store, salad dressing. I mean, it is almost impossible to find a salad dressing without soybean oil.
True.
And with soybeans, they're the most genetically modified source, out there. Soy is. So people think soy is health food. Soy is not a health food. If you can find non-GMO soy, okay, but that's really hard to find. And it's not in your salad dressings, or your mayonnaises, or a lot of the condiments. And that is what I see a lot because I do kind of hang out in some keto groups.
Yeah.
I don't always comment, but I just kind of see where people are and what they're doing and what they're recommending. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, mayo is usually not good because I can't find one without an oil in it. Mm-hmm. Even nut milks, you have to be really careful because I think it's carrageenan or something. I don't even know how to pronounce it. So if you don't know how to pronounce it and it's in your almond milk or cashew milk. So I found like Silk is a really good brand. It seems to be clean. So that wouldn't be something that, most people would think, oh, I'm going to look at the ingredient. They'll just, oh, it's almond milk, unsweetened. I'm putting it in my cart. And they don't look at the ingredients. Yeah. I know I was guilty.
Yeah.
More shredded cheese. And I know you saw my post about, hidden carbs.
Yeah.
And shredded cheese, it is very convenient. I used to use it. And then you look at the ingredients on most. Now, I know some people have been able to find ones without the powdered cellulose and without the starches and without an anti-caking agent, but that's really hard because it would mold fast. So they have to preserve that cheese. So block cheese is always better. It may take a little extra time to shred it, but that, those are some of the key things. And even heavy whipping cream, that's a big one in the keto community, heavy whipping cream. And you just got to still look at those ingredients and try to find an organic source of your heavy whipping cream.
Those are great tips. Anytime that I have bought already pre-shredded cheese, I never liked how anything turned out. It never melted the same. It never worked the same. So yeah, I've always just bought blocks of cheese and grated it ourselves. It's been very rare. And plus the cost effective, like cost wise, I'm like, why would I spend that for that when I can grate it myself?
Yeah. And I think there's a way you can even freeze your cheese. So you shred it and you freeze it. One of my friends does that to save time, and you can Google how to freeze shredded cheese. So I've never tried it, but there is a way to do it.
These don't last that long in my house, so I don't think we need
I
to
know.
freeze it.
Yeah. Same here.
So leading into that, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that stage where you found your body actually not liking keto at that point. So I'd love for you to just talk on that, because we were talking about cheese, and I know dairy is a big part of what you want to talk about next. So share with us, that experience that you had.
Okay. Just, brief little backstory there. When I'm 51, and I think I was around 48. It's probably been 3 years now that I've been in menopausal symptoms, just the start. perimenopause, whatever, we'll just call it menopausal symptoms. And at first, it was fine the way I was doing keto, because I was doing it pretty clean. I was watching ingredients and doing supplementation and everything. And but then 2020 hit and we all know what 2020 was all about and the craziness that happened. And my hormones, and I don't know, from the stress of that and just menopausal symptoms, I got into a huge hormonal imbalance. And I say that I didn't go get tested or anything, my hormone levels, but I knew. And I think women who you've been in that situation where you don't feel like yourself, and it's just that feeling. It was really weird for me, because one, we don't know what to expect during that time. Many of us aren't told what goes on during perimenopause. We just kind of slide into it and think, oh, this is just how it's going to be. It's a part of life. My doctor even told me that. Oh, this is normal. And I'm thinking, not feeling right. And some of the craziness that I felt, brain fog, I was forgetful. That's not normal. Yeah. So don't, and my big thing with, don't let a doctor tell you that's normal. Don't let them tell you that's a part of life. Your body is telling you something is out of balance. And, I heard that on a podcast that I like listening to. And this lady was going through hormonal changes due to a pregnancy and just coming off of that. And, I never thought about it that way. And I thought, yeah, who is this doctor to tell me that's normal? And then I'm going to believe that. So I started digging in deeper to hormonal imbalances, and I started adding some more like adaptogen products, herbal stuff that I knew would help hot flashes and just brain fog, and that added that into my daily supplement thing. And it still wasn't really changing. I saw weight gain. I usually can maintain my goal weight within 5 to 7 pounds. And I got at least almost, 15 or more pounds over my goal weight. And that's when I really started to worry, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm seeing a number on the scale that I am not liking. And I had my cravings spike again. And I know a lot of it had to do with just the whole stress of 2020. And I'm sure my cortisol was high. And looking through, I mentioned the Hormone Fix book that I got, and reading that, and just really feel like my testosterone probably dropped just from the symptoms that were in that book. I experienced most of those symptoms, and I thought it was probably my testosterone. And just, and I still don't know a whole lot about that, because I've just kind of started digging into that book and how the hormonal balance can really affect, even if you're on keto, and that you have to change the way you keto. And now how I've changed it is I have cut back on dairy. I'm not completely dairy free. I do like cheese. I love cheese, and I love ice cream, all that dairy stuff. But I try to only have it maybe twice a week if I have cheese, which is big for me. I don't make the fathead dough anymore. It's, I got to find a different pizza recipe that I haven't worked on yet. But just doing that and adding in more spinach and, kale. I know there's a lot of people don't like kale. I'm not crazy about it, but going plant-based with a protein shake, eating more lean, healthy cuts of meat, trying to get grass-fed as often as I can, really watching the hormones in chicken, and just really targeting in more clean than I was, and cutting, alkaline vegetables, I can't even say it, cruciferous vegetables. That's a hard one. And even been able to add in more fruits that the keto world would consider high carb, like pineapple and mango, papaya, because they really have great digestive enzymes in them. And I'm only going to have like a half a cup after dinner, and that will just help me digest my food. Yep. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm still on that learning curve, and I'm still doing, I've started a kind of a detox because my weight stalled again. And just and that just calls for zoning in even more. And it's only for 10 days, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
We were talking before we started to record this interview, and you were talking about listening to your body. And don't you think that it's really about, being in tune with your body and knowing what foods your body's actually enjoying and what foods actually cause those symptoms that you were feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. And with being intuitive eating is what it's referred to a lot of times. So if you see that intuitive eating, that's what it means. Just because some people maybe can handle the dairy, and I could until I got to a certain age. And I didn't realize that I wasn't handling the dairy until I cut it out.
Yeah.
And then I noticed I'm not as bloated. I just felt better. And with the dirty keto, it's hard to have that intuitive eating because you're eating all these mainly processed foods. You're not, necessarily grabbing the best cuts of meat, and you still feel bad on keto, and you think keto didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that it didn't work. It was your approach to keto didn't work. And you just got to, and once you start going more of a nutritional keto and becoming aware of what your body is feeling and how it reacts to certain foods, like some people may be able to handle a more heavy carb load. And you can certainly have carb up days. And for women, that can be very important too, because it all kind of rotates around a cycle. And you can, there's a lot of information out there on how to eat, that's more geared toward your cycle each month for women. So yeah, it's just all about how you feel. I don't really, we talked about testing ketones and stuff, and I did the urine sticks or whatever you want to call them when I first started, and that's good in the beginning. But once you get keto adapted, fat adapted, your ketones aren't going to be testable in your urine anymore, and you've got to find another source. And for me, that is just really watching how I feel. I didn't buy the blood test. I didn't buy a breath meter. I just kind of go by how I feel. It works for me. And I think each person has to find their own path and find how is keto going to work for me, because it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what have you done for fasting and part of keto?
Okay. I have intermittent fasted in the past. And I would do like a 12-hour fast, which basically is overnight. So you stop eating at 7, and then the next morning you wouldn't eat till maybe 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And I had done that for a time. And I usually will do 2 days of fasting like that, and then go to normal eating. And that's called a crescendo fasting. I know we have some information in our group about that too.
Just seen that.
Tracy did, yeah, there was a great write-up that she did. And that works the best for women because intermittent fasting can mess up our hormones. So as women, it just gets more complicated sometimes for women. Some people can't fast, and that's okay. Intermittent fasting is big in the keto world. So don't feel bad or like you can't do keto if you can't do an intermittent fast, because you don't have to. But now I've worked up where I'm doing a 16-8 window. Mm-hmm. So that just means I've got an 8-hour window where I'm going to get all my calories in. I'm not restricting calories. I'm still getting in my normal daily intake, but it's only within that 8-hour window. So I won't eat till maybe like 11 or noon from when I stop eating at 7. And then I'll just start my eating. And I've really cut out snacks also. So sometimes I'm maybe only going to eat 2 meals a day. Or I'm going to start my first meal with one of my plant-based shakes with a bunch of greens in it, avocado, chia seeds, and flax seed to get that, the good seeds and the good fat and fiber. And then maybe have like a light little mid-morning snack type, small meal and then a dinner later in the evening, and make sure that I always stop eating at 7 p.m. But it works. It helps your bone health. It helps speed up metabolism. It's great just to give your body that break from digesting, and really just kind of training your body. That way it starts to grab your fat stores when you're not giving it more food to digest and use energy from. It's going to use that energy that's already stored in your body right now and not from food. So it'll help aid weight loss. It can help break a stall. And it's just, if you can do it, start out, if you're just beginning, start out with a 12-hour window and just ease into it.
And that's what we've been doing. It's my son, my husband, and I that have started doing this. And this talking with you, Shelly, has really made me very excited, actually, because it's taking the pressure off me, because I'm thinking that I have to do it perfectly. And when it's just basically, listening to your body and putting the good foods and not, being lazy. I have noticed that I am food prepping a lot more than I used to. And I'm actually, which is okay. Like before I would just kind of think, oh my gosh, I got to food prep. But
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm still going to feel that way at some days, but
Oh yeah.
it's you, right? So,
Yeah.
but,
Well, good.
yeah.
And that's one thing, keto can feel like it's very restrictive, and you can be in groups where they are very strict and they are very restrictive, but we're all different.
Mhm.
We all handle carbs differently. So you just kind of got to push your limits and see, as long as you start out restricting carbs, then that's the main thing with keto, restricting your carbs, and to see what level you can go down to or up to. Right now I'm doing 30 to 40 grams of carbs. When I first started, I was only doing 15 to 20. Okay. So I've been able to up that. And that also is something to do with, your hormones. And as we age, we're going to need more carbs. Yeah. And the fat percentage may be different for people. Yeah. Not everybody can do that 100. Some people need less, and they can still feel like they're in ketosis, feel like they have energy, still losing weight. Yeah. Protein, you definitely want to at least at the minimum have 60 grams and go up from there, because if you go lower, you're going to deplete your body of those amino acids, and your body's going to start pulling energy from your muscles. And we don't want that. We want to look lean and mean, on keto and stuff. Yeah. And just moving. I know with stalls, they can be so frustrating. And that's usually when people quit, one thing too, I wanted to mention, when you start off on keto, I always tell my clients, I always ask them, what is your goal? And if it's just, lose weight, then I'm going to make them dig a little deeper, because if your goal is only to lose weight, you're going to quit. Or if they tell me, well, I just want to try keto. And I'm like, then you're not ready, because trying sets you up for failure. If one bad day happens and it falls apart, well, I tried, and you're going to quit. So to have that bigger goal, to have a bigger health goal. And I think that people doing dirty keto, they only have the goal to lose weight. And it's got to be bigger than that. What do you want to do? Where do you want to serve? You have a family. You want to be there for them, and you want to be as healthy and capable that you can for others, and to take care of ourselves. I just heard something in another podcast, self-care is healthcare. And that's true. As women, we can feel guilty sometimes if we take that extra time for ourselves. And but we really do need it, just to get outside and exercise and get the oxytocin flowing, and that will help the cortisol levels go down, and the weight will follow. When we focus on our health first, the weight's going to start to come off.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great tips. I think a lot of people will get great value out of this, Shelly, because you've done a lot of research and you've been able to, experience the different things that go on within our bodies and changing and listening to it and then feeding the body the way that it wants to be fed. And keto is meant to give you a healthy lifestyle. It's meant to help you be healthy. And I think a lot of people, when they think of keto, they do think of all the fats that you're consuming and how can that be good for you. But you and I both know that our body craves those healthy fats. Our brain needs those healthy fats, in order to function and have a healthy life. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience so far in your keto life. Is there anything that you would like to share that we haven't covered so far?
I can't think, so I'm just kind of glancing over stuff I wrote down. I think I pretty much, covered it. I just feel that, everyone deserves that life filled with good health, happiness, and love. And we can get that if we just get the right nutrition and live life the best that we can and not be hard on ourselves when we have a bad day, but to pick ourselves up. Every choice is a chance. So your next choice, make that the better choice. Forget the bad choice maybe, or bad habit you went back to, but just focus on, okay, how can I make the next choice a good habit to start practicing?
Absolutely. And support. Find some really good support.
Yes, community helps, and find the right community. So,
that educates you on healthy nutritional habits.
Yeah. Yes, because we got to find if you're not finding a lifestyle that also addresses your hormones, and then it's probably not going to work. Unfortunately, you're going to quit. So.
How can people reach out to you, Shelly, if they'd like to talk to you more about this or possibly want to work with you in a keto lifestyle for themselves?
Well, probably the easiest way is just I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, just as Shelly Davis on both, in Messenger. I try to look, if we're not friends, I try to look in my spam folder, but I don't always. That's probably the best way to reach me is through Facebook.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight, Shelly. And I look forward to seeing more of your posts. And then, of course, within the keto community that we're in, I love seeing all of your recipe ideas and the things that you find that you share with everybody and tips. So thank you so much for your knowledge today.
Oh, you're welcome. And I look forward to you and your husband's journey to see how you guys progress through this.
Yes, me too. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and we appreciate your time. And we will, I'm sure I'll be back with some other guests and sharing more health topics with you for the year 2021, because health is so important. We need to find every way that we can to stay healthy and to live a long and healthy life. I'm Christine, and we'll talk to you again. Bye for now.